All right, clap it. Yeah. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. How y'all doing? My name's Cheryl. This is Coding with Strangers, and I want to talk about something. A lot of AI stories here, maybe back to back. But the evolution of AI is happening constantly, so you got to ask yourself, like, what's next in the agenda of AI? And something that, we have come to determine is that the things that AI supposedly can do is probably not going to be able to do. So what becomes of AI moving forward? And the fact that they're making deals to be in part of the media company is a red flag goes off in my head, because if we're already having difficulties discerning the imagination of ChatGPT, what happens when they become an authority in the space of social media, media, news, journalism, and things like that? There's already been cases reported where lawyers have been disbarred for using ChatGPT for case law. Same thing has been done for police officers who use it to write work, and literally journalists who beg and plead for their work to be recognized and not to have their jobs replaced. Some are already being caught. Using ChatGPT to finish their stories. So it's one of those things where it's just like, yo, what are we doing? What are we doing to actually preserve this art of media? I think inviting ChatGPT probably isn't going to be the best thing. All right, Condé Nast signs deal with OpenAI. Condé Nast and OpenAI have struck a multi-year deal that will allow AI giant to use content from the media giant's roster of properties, which includes the New Yorker, Vogue, Vanity Fair, Bon Appetit, and yes, Wired, the place that we're getting this from. The deal will allow OpenAI to surface stories from these outlets in both ChatGPT and new SearchGPT prototypes. So this is extremely terrible. So Condé Nast houses a bunch of social media markets, and they do this, and we already know how this is probably going to end. Just look at what happened to games media journalism, and in large part media in general. Paper media is dead, long gone. So like this does make my ears kind of like perk up. It's crucial that we meet audience where they are and embrace new technologies, while also ensuring proper attribution and compensation for uses of our intellectual property. Condé Nast CEO Roger Lynch wrote in a company-wide email. Lynch pointed to ongoing turmoil within the publishing industry while discussing deals. Nothing that technology companies have made is harder for publishers to make money, most recently with changes to traditional search. So Roger Lynch has sold out his people, because instead of standing here and standing on business and forcing this AI companies to conform and not use copywritten stuff and train their algorithm not to use stolen property, they said, Roger Lynch has basically said, no, just pay me, and I'm going to leave the company when it folds over, because you guys are the main source of information. Not only will this give access to OpenAI and other ChatGPT clones to sound more professional in their approach and writing style, it'll now give them a boatload of information. I can hear the argument of, oh, we just want to be able to give the search engine is powerful thing. Once again, optimized search is optimized search. Someone who was looking for something isn't going to stop because ChatGPT gave them a shortcut answer, right? People are going to continue to look for the things that they want and need on the internet. That's not how like search optimization works. If anything, search optimization should come with the sightings and sources for it. That is what optimized search should really be. It shouldn't be finding stuff faster. It's finding stuff that you want and also being able to source it correctly. That is what optimized search really should be. Our partners with OpenAI our partnership with OpenAI begins to make up for some of the revenue, allowing us to continue to protect and invest in our journalism. So they're saying it right here. This partnership is going to help us with some of that revenue. This is a money deal. Wired, as we know it, the place where I'm reading this article right now, could cease to exist in 1 year's time. And I would hate to be clipped and proven right in a year. Lynch testified before Congress early this year on how AI companies like OpenAI train their models, speaking in favor of licensing. He's previously been vocal opponent of AI companies using content without first seeking permission, describing said data as stolen goods. After Wire reported earlier this year on web scraping practices of AI search engines, startup Perplexity, Condé Nast sent a cease and desist letter demanding that the company cease using its content. Specific terms of the partnership have not been disclosed. OpenAI declined to comment on the deal's terms. So we didn't even get a good look at this. The growing encroachment of AI journalism, they need to unionize in some capacity to fight back against this. They need to fight back against this. Is significant concern for our News Guild of New York members. We expect Condé Nast management to be transparent with us about how the technology will be used and the impact it may have in our work, says Susan DeCarava, president of the News Guild of New York, which represents ununionized Condé Nast editorial employees. We are seeking additional details on the Condé OpenAI deal to ensure that our members' rights are protected. As OpenAI noted in a blog post announcing the deal, it isn't the first media company to team up with them. Damn, generative AI company publishers like Atlantic, Axel Springer, and The Time have already struck deals. Oh, it's over. It's over. It's over. I didn't even know this. And even platforms like Reddit Automatic, the owner in WordPress.com, Tumblr, most of the major AI companies have traditionally gathered training data by scraping the internet without first licensing, copying material. This has resulted in a wave of lawsuits against the companies, including from other news outlets like the New York Times, arguing that the practice is unfair, and now it continually growing wave of publishers choosing to cooperate with AI's biggest players. Damn, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. Digital publishers rely on search engine and other platforms to drive readership to their stories. Changes to the algorithm that power Google search or Facebook feeds can make or break a media company. A Google and other search engines move beyond traditional search and incorporate generative AI news, summaries, and other AI products into their offerings. The generative AI companies like OpenAI introduce their own search products. News outlets face a stark choice. If you don't allow these companies to scrape your data, they risk making their work harder to find on the internet. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think, it is true if you're on Google, if you want to be noticed on Google, and Google has Gemini, and if Gemini can't directly source your information for fear of scraping it, it can't discern from searching for it versus scraping your website, then you lose that viewership. So there needs to be some type of intervention. I think it's a level of monopoly that we're not really sure how to gauge this yet. And the repercussions of this we will not see immediately, but there's going to be a problem where if all of our news comes from one source, I don't know how this doesn't scream of like forced government media that we complain about or say we're up or totally against overseas, right? Condé Nast employees are voicing concerns about the deal. No one wants to help train the tools spreading misinformation and degrading the skills of many of us who spent decades honing it. One writer for Condé Nast outlet who requested anonymity out of concern for professional reprisal, told The Wire. So yeah, it's kind of it's definitely ass cheeks. I definitely feel here for this, but yesterday we talked about the manipulation of social media. Now we're talking about the manipulation of actual media. And to hear that last statement where it took them decades to learn how to do this, and to know that some stupid AI is just gonna scrape their website and summarize everything in 2 paragraphs or in a sentence and miss critical content. And remember, Google Gemini was the same search engine that told you to put glue on your pizza. So we know that they're okay with sending half-baked written things into the Ethernet. It's part of the job. But you can make AIs work for hours on end. You have to pay an editor and a storyteller, but it still begs the question: if they can unionize or do something like that, because you can't send AI out into the field to do protest watch. You can't send AI to go investigate stories. Reporters and journalists still will matter, but editors, editorials, and the shrinking of how we get our news is definitely going to be a detriment. There's no good that comes from fewer or less media outlets having the ability to sustain themselves because of the algorithm. And I think the squeeze that Google and a lot of these other companies, OpenAI, are all doing is a sign of the times. But to know that there are already companies that have folded and said, "No, in order for us to get views and clicks, we're gonna sell our people out," is kind of tragic. But that's just a story. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think.